And I'm Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we talk about all your favorite Scream ripoffs. I don't know if it's a ripoff if it's
not
written by the same guy.
It's not a ripoff.
I know. I also like this movie.
It was written before Scream.
That's crazy.
So it's
That's
not
a
a
crazy
ripoff.
fun fact to start.
Yeah.
No, I just needed something fun to say. And this always just feels like the worst version of Scream, even though I like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was fun.
Which is also hilarious. We're covering this, and we've never covered Scream, which is like one of my favorite all-time movies.
I just feel like Scream has been I mean, to be fair, a lot of the movies we've discussed have been talked to death, yeah. But Scream is one of those. That's why, like, at this point...
It's talked to death for a reason.
We haven't talked about one of my favorite horror movies on the podcast, because I just think it would be redundant.
Yeah, but we can add our own flair.
I guess.
What's your favorite? Nightmare on Elm Street?
That's one of my favorites we haven't discussed.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. People still like to listen to our opinions, so...
I don't know.
Maybe at some point. We'll do a month where we do, like, overly talked about horror movies, or just classics.
Oh, that'll be, like, the worst month ever.
To be honest, I really want to cover... I want to redo a one we did, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was, like, I came out on day one of the podcast.
I have a couple I want to redo.
Yeah, well, that's one of them. You got any more?
I think it's I really want to redo Insidious. I probably want to.
That was also day one.
I'd like to redo The Witch, which was in the first weeks of.
I think our episode was good on that one, but I think our episodes were good for all of these.
But the sound quality is not great, so I'd like to redo it. We also had a guest on The Witch that we love, but she didn't like the movie, so I'd be interested how we would guide the conversation with someone that loved the movie, or if it were just us.
You know, the way we could cover Scream or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or any of these is finding someone that hasn't seen them.
Yeah.
And make them watch it for the first time and then cover. That might be...
Well, I was the first time for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and my opinions have changed.
Well, you felt weird about it when you came out, but looking back, you're like, okay, yeah, I understand why it's like highly regarded. I think you would probably really enjoy it on second watch.
It's actually really interesting for me after we do certain episodes, because sometimes we record episodes not that long after seeing whatever movie, and then it takes me time to like really build my feelings. So we've covered new releases, and then a week later I'm like, I don't agree with what I said.
That's also like a sign of a movie you like, is if it sits with you for a while.
I think there are a lot of movies that I've had things to reconsider on.
All right, so we should do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre again. I really want to hear your update.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay, but today we're talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer in preparation for the sequel, requel, remake.
Legacy sequel. To the first two films.
Which is even funnier that we're getting this considering Scream 5 already happened to make fun of requels, and now we're getting the I Know What You Did Last Summer requel, which is like a much lesser known property with one sequel that was not well regarded.
It had two sequels. One was direct to video with none of the same cast.
I don't
so
count
does it
that.
count?
I don't count that. What was it called? I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay.
I believe that was what it was called.
But either way, we're covering this movie. This is a classic. I saw this a long time ago.
I didn't, but I've always heard it referenced in a million bajillion things. And then people would like giggle at the reference, and I'd be like,
you don't get it?
I don't get it.
I've seen this movie many times. I know I watched it with my mom probably for the first time. And I don't know why, but I feel like I've seen it many times. And I've seen the weird sequel as well.
Well, I just have this one. Not the weird sequel. And we're not going to cover the Legacy
we're not covering
sequel.
it still. Oh, we're not going to cover the Legacy sequel?
I don't have it in our calendar.
What if it comes out that it's like really good? Wouldn't that be so funny?
I guess we would like revise our schedule
and then go and see
if it were really good.
Hell, we didn't even cover Final Destination Bloodlines, and people love that.
Because I've seen a single Final Destination movie, and I don't give a shit. You're right.
Oh, damn. Wow.
You're correct.
And Megan 2's coming out, and I got no interest in that either.
I was willing to cover Megan and Megan 2, but you didn't want to, so I didn't put it on the list.
Bad. Well, if people want these, let us know.
Yeah, you can tell us if we should cover something, because we'll take your opinions.
I could not be bothered by Megan 2, I'm sorry. Unless I hear it has...
I heard it's not as good.
Okay. Well, I didn't even like Megan 1 that much.
Yeah, and I heard it's not as good, so that's not promising for
no, it's funny. There's like a lot of stuff that came out that we were just like, nah. It's because we were too excited about Bring Her Back and 28 years later.
Yeah, and then
else.
I'm excited for a few things
Weapons,
still to come.
baby. Weapons is my most anticipated
I'm really
at this
excited
point.
for Weapons. I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited for Together, despite the lawsuit stuff. There's a lot that I'm still like, my most awaited movies have yet to come.
Well, speaking of weapons, my athletic trainer for the Phoenix, Josh, who listens to the podcast, so shout out Josh. He was an improv group that opened for Whitest Kids You Know, so he met Zach Krager.
Oh my gosh.
And Trevor Moore.
That's really funny.
And the rest of the crew, but those are my two big ones. So
Yeah,
rip Trevor Moore, Zach Krager, keep making cool movies. I hope Weapons is good.
I hope Weapons is good. I mean, Barbarian is like a crazy one to have to follow up. Like, that's a crazy first film. So,
well, I mean, he followed up Miss March with Barbarian, so like, who knew he had that in him?
yeah, that's crazy.
All right.
Wait, Miss March is that a feature film? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. But Trevor Moore and Zach Krager were in it. I think they wrote it.
Okay.
I don't know who directed it.
Oh, okay. But Zach Krager like directed Barbarian.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he did write Miss March, if you ever saw it.
I'm still gonna consider Barbarian his first.
I know that. Well, that's
until
why.
I'm
No, I think he's got
proven
a couple.
otherwise.
He's got a couple movies. Now I got to look it up.
Damn it.
Yeah, no, him and Trevor Moore directed Miss March.
Oh, fuck. Zach, what have you been doing?
Well, it was part of Whitest Kids You Know, sort of. Hannah's looking it all up now. Yeah, oh, sorry, Miss March was his first movie, then The Civil War on Drugs
Which
was his
doesn't have a
second.
Wikipedia page, so what that?
And
What
then
that?
Barbarian.
But Barbarian is the first movie I think he did himself.
yeah.
No one else
Okay,
is
all
a
right.
co-director or co-writer. That was his bebe.
And he's going to do a Resident Evil reboot movie?
Yeah, that's
Let's
his next
go. I hope it's like good.
He's also the composer for Weapons, which is crazy.
That's even cooler.
The man
What a
did
talent.
everything.
What a talent. We are off topic today, 7 minutes in. That's all on me. So but that is my most anticipated at this point.
Okay.
I'm sure it's yours too,
I actually
right?
have a ton of fun background for I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Perfect.
So
Let's
it's
do it.
directed by Jim Gillespie. It's written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream. He wrote this before Scream. The screenplay was not going to be made into a film, but because Scream did really well, they very suddenly rushed it into production. And
Wow.
it came out a year after Scream.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because Scream is obviously very meta in this, and it's a parody
is
in a lot of ways.
not that.
And this is like,
It's just a slasher.
yeah, it's a slasher. I don't think it's I think it doesn't commit a lot of the fatal flaws that Scream was making fun of.
Mm-hmm.
So like it definitely still works a little bit better. But it's just like Scream is one of my favorite movies, and I've said it's at least a top 10 movie for me.
Well,
I find it really important.
We
and
asked
great.
our socials what their favorite slasher was, and only one person said Scream, and that was Spooky Sips Podcast.
You know, though, it's because it's a whodunit. It's a whodunit.
Another person said Scream.
Scream.
I'm a liar.
Well, it's a whodunit parody of slashers that's also just a really well-made movie and really fun, good movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's this weird mix. So I feel like people think slashers, they're going to think of the big three and then a couple more. So, but tell me some more.
Steinmetz.Ethan, who we know in real life,
Shout
out Ethan, said Matt's gonna love this. Malignant.
Yeah, Ethan knows ball. So
Ethan and Matt do not know ball. Drop
saying
that
Malignant
down.
is your favorite slasher is
the
incredible.
funniest
We need to make a
fucking move.
TikTok with him saying that because
Truly
people will eat you
incredible
alive.
move.
But I'm here for it. I don't think it'd say it's my farefavorite slasher, but I love Malignant.
You did comment Malignant.
Oh yeah, but that was just me. That was engagement bait.
Yeah, okay. Revisionist Almanac Podcast said Halloween is the GOAT.
Of course. I also don't count Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a slasher, by the way. So I think some people might, but it's kind of an exploitation film.
Lucy nope. Say this word. Name.
Dominique.
No, that's
I don't
not
know.
correct either.
Well,
Sorry,
either
we're bad
way.
at names. Said Terrifier.
Also not a slasher.
No, Terrifier's definitely a
Terrifier.
slasher.
I'm sorry,
No.
Lucy. I don't like that movie. So
I was just gonna ignore that. Okay.
God. Kind of trip a pot up.
Yeah.
Conan trip pot up.
Said you're next.
I haven't seen that one, so maybe put that on the list. All right, Postmortem, who I
Movie
usually
Postmortem
like.
podcast that their favorite is Friday the 13th, and I'm so sorry, bro, but
I was gonna say.
Disagree.
Usually we gas each other up on Blue Sky. I gotta roast you for that one. I'm sorry.
Matt and I do not.
I'm
like
such a
that
hater
movie.
of that movie. I used to love it,
But when I posted on Blue Sky, I did ask, like, does anyone have any, like, recent ones they want to shout out? And so he said, post 2000, I think there are a few true slashers made in the modern era.
except for Malignant.
Even though it started before 2000, I'm going to say Scream. And
Yeah, good
then
pick.
Everett Mansur from Blue Sky also said, favorite slasher will probably always be Halloween. As for recent slashers, I really enjoyed the first Happy Death Day.
Good pick.
Which I think is a fun pick. For recent ones, I said my favorite's Hard Eyes.
Yeah, I guess.
But that
Yeah,
might be-
Hard Eyes is
it's
also
so
kind of
recent, so I don't
Scream
know.
in a way it's like
It
kind
is,
of a parody. I am shocked nobody said Nightmare on Elm Street.
I know.
Which-
I said that in my comment.
You said it. There you go. I was going to say,
engagement
when I say
rate.
the big three of slashers, it's Michael, Jason, and Freddy, even though I think Friday the 13th is bad and is kind of just a copy of Halloween in a bad way. But they are the big three. No one said Child's Play either, which is shocking to me. So we're missing some, but overall, thanks for
sharing, friendos.
yeah. I like when people share so we can roast them.
Matt, we're not asking people to share to roast them.
Or, well, we either roast or
asking them
praise.
Because we appreciate various opinions.
It's just light ribbing.
People aren't going to want to comment if you're going to roast them. Okay, so did you know this is based off a book?
I was about to ask because it feels like it's based off a book.
It's based off a YA novel.
This feels like this would make a great book. This feels like it. Yeah, it actually does feel like a book I could have read in middle school.
The book is quite different. It's not a slasher. It's more of like a mystery.
Well, the movie really is not that much of a slasher in my mind. It is kind of a mystery story.
Well, she did not like that this became a slasher film.
Oh.
And she told
being
people...
what's her name?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Lois Duncan.
Was
that
the writer?
I didn't say
Okay.
your name. Lois. She said, don't go see
Yeah,
it.
misogynist.
It's worse than bad. It's totally sick.
Oh, no. It's really not bad.
Yeah, she spoke out about it in a million places. She was very disgusted by it. But part of that is because her daughter was murdered.
Oh.
So she's, quote, particularly sensitive about desensitizing kids to violence and turning murder into a game.
Sure. I don't know if you're entirely right when talking about movies desensitizing people to violence, but you do you.
Yeah.
Just not something
Also,
I typically agree with.
What I'm just going to end this by saying, if you don't want it to be made into a movie with creative liberties, don't sell the rights.
Oh, shit. Brutal.
I can totally sympathize with where she's coming from, whether I agree or not. However, that's totally fine. Just don't sell the rights.
I want to read the book because thinking about this, it's funny. Like this
The
movie
book has
feels
not
literary.
good reviews on Goodreads
shame.
because I was going to read it and I was like, I am not reading something rated that bad on Goodreads.
No, but like even watching the movie, that's why I was like, this feels like it'd probably be based off a book, or it would make a really good book, so it couldn't have been adapted that bad if it still feels like a book. Feels like a nice little mystery thriller.
In addition to the book, it was also inspired by the urban legend of the Hook, which they do talk about in the movie very blatantly, which is the urban legend about a killer with a hook for a hand attacking a couple in a parked car, which they literally talk about around the campfire. Yep. It's mimicked in a ton of different media. I mean, the hash-slinging slasher has a hook for a hand for a reason.
I've also heard the story prior to even seeing this movie. It's a classic, and there's 100 different versions.
Yes.
The scraping. I've heard the one with the scraping.
Yeah.
Which is its feet are scraping. The boyfriend's hung from a tree and his feet are scraping the top of the car.
That's horrific.
Yeah. It's a good one, right? Or the drip. Haven't you heard the drip when it's like just his head and the blood is dripping? And
I've heard that one and that's horrifying.
Yep. They're all really good.
The movie stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., and Ryan Phillippe. This is so exciting because it's how...
All right, stop talking like that.
Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. got together.
Power couple.
Power couple. Despite being a part of the main cast and being in scenes together, their characters don't talk to each other. They only speak to each other directly twice.
That's funny.
In the movie.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. So they barely interact on screen, but like they became friends by filming, and obviously later fell in love and got married, and then we're in Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed together. And I love them so much.
I was calling them a power couple, but she was really the power.
No, it was, yes,
like
it was
Buffy.
her.
Come
yes.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. They also, when they were casting her, they were like, we want someone who is like nice, but also could be a bitch.
She fits that to a T.
Yeah.
That's why she was cast as Daphne, too.
She's perfect Daphne.
Yeah, she really is.
He also is a perfect dumbass Fred. I love him
They're perfect
as Fred.
parody versions
They're
of them.
so good.
I am excited for when we get like, we should write our own Scooby-Doo 3, where maybe that's the sequel Matt has for us.
Maybe that would
I'm
be
so
amazing.
prepared for that to be one.
Yeah.
Matt has a sequel he wants to pitch us, so we're going to have him on for an episode soon, but we don't know what it is yet.
Or we're going to just post a TikTok with it. TBD, but yeah.
I want gritty Scooby-Doo 3 where they all come back.
When
like,
you
really
said gritty,
old.
I thought you were talking about Philadelphia's
You're
mascot,
stupid.
Gritty, and I was like, why would you want that?
You tell me that my brain does weird things. That is so dumb. All right, sorry. This is
a delightful
anyway.
little
No, let me.
being. I love him.
We got 2 episodes to record. You're getting me off topic. My point is Scooby-Doo 3. Let's have them old and they're coming out of retirement again.
Okay, as long as Fred and Daphne are still together.
Scoob's got to be like gray. That's gonna be the saddest part. It probably would. Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean,
no,
Great
because in
Danes
your
don't live
head
that.
It's ending with him dying, and I won't allow that.
Great Danes don't live that long.
This is not cool. I don't want to talk about dead dogs.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't think I'd actually have Scooby die, but maybe retire.
The last fun fact I was going to share is there's this scene where Jennifer Love Hewitt's character walks in the middle of the street and screams to the killer, "What are you waiting for?" The scene was conceived of and directed by a child who won a contest.
That's so funny because it's like actually a huge scene that I think is effective. I actually find it a very effective scene. That's funny. Sorry, I'm like comprehending this for the first time right now.
I thought you told me about this.
I told you about not about. Maybe I looked it up. Well, so here's the thing in Scary Movie, which is making fun of both Scream and this movie mostly, which is kind of stupid because Scream's already a parody. And it's not a very good movie, but there are funny scenes. There's a scene where they do this, "What are you waiting for?" and she spins in circles. And then there's a jumper that's like, "What am I waiting for?" And he jumps off the building. And I mean, it's pretty funny. Yeah. And so I know about that. But so when I think of this scene, I only kind of think of that goofiness, but rewatching it, this scene is like actually effective for someone being concerned about someone basically just tormenting them. Like give it up to Jennifer Love Hewitt, and then
give it up for this child
and this child
who came up with the idea and directed it.
They directed it? Oh, you didn't say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. Dude,
conceived of and directed by a child.
And that kid grew up to be Steven Spielberg.
No.
Oh, okay.
But they
That's amazing.
They didn't want to do it. Like Jennifer Love Hewitt later said in an interview, she disliked the idea, but still went with it because like she had to. And it has ultimately become one of the biggest parts of the movie. And she said it was a great idea.
No, it is. That's really funny. I'm sorry. I'm just like, that. I'm like shook by that. I do find it's like an emotional scene of the idea of someone being, stalked and tormented, that it's like at their breaking point. That's something this movie does really well, is like getting all these people to their breaking point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does. There's a lot of taunting before blatant murder. So I think we can get into our 15-second summaries.
Let's do it
now. I can go first.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
A group of friends getting hit and run, and instead of just like calling the cops or like trying to get help for this person, they like make sure they're dead and throw them in water, and then the next summer they get notes to say, "I know what you did last summer," and that person comes after them to kill them.
That's it. Yeah.
I just was slow, but I got there.
No, I don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to wing it.
Okay,
right, I'm
go.
going. All right, it's kind of like a whodunit, but every time I watch this movie, I actually forget why and who's alive and who isn't and what went down, and I figure out as I go, which is funny that I forget every time. But really, it's this guy that goes to kill a guy, and then he gets killed, but comes back to life and then has to kill more people. So he was a bad guy from the beginning, and they weren't really in the wrong for doing a hit and run on him because he was a murderer. Sometimes doing a hit and run is good. That's what this movie taught me. Themes, thematic analysis.
Sure.
If only they hit and ran him before he killed that other guy.
I mean, that would have been better timing.
Oh, I meant to say also, the fact that we're getting this ridiculous requel, and I laugh my ass off during the trailer every time when Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt, who looks they've both aged a lot.
Yeah.
And show up. Sorry, I don't want to talk bad about looks, but they just don't look the same. And she says, what are you waiting for? Line, like, calmly. I bust a gut at how embarrassing this movie seems. So,
Oop.
Have you seen that part where she says it? I'm like, oh, they said the line. I'm
I
like,
don't
girl,
pay attention to any of those trailers, though.
Girl,
like,
get that bag. But why are we doing this? The fact that it's also just called I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, Scream just made fun of this.
Yeah.
Scream just did this whole thing, and you're just doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
That's okay.
It's all right.
Okay, and now time for our full plot description. So, on 4th of July in 1996, in Southport, North Carolina, Julie James and her friends Ray Bronson, Helen Shivers, and Barry Cox drive to the beach. On the way back, they accidentally hit a pedestrian. Julie's friend Max passes by them on the road, and they hide their crime from him and to buy them more time to decide what to do. Barry and Helen try to dump the body in water, but the pedestrian wakes up and grabs Helen. Barry pushes him into the water, and the group swears to never discuss what happened. 1 year later, Julie returns home from college for the summer. The friends have gone their separate ways, with none of them pursuing their dreams due to struggling with the incident. Julie receives a letter stating, I know what you did last summer. She and Helen take the note to Barry, who suspects Max. Julie meets Ray, who now works as a fisherman. Max is killed by a figure in a raincoat wielding a hook. That night, Barry is ambushed by the assailant stealing and driving his car. Julie researches newspaper articles, believing that the man they ran over was a local man named David Egan. Helen and Julie meet David's sister, Missy, at her home. Missy explains that a friend of David's named Billy Blue visited her to pay his respects. That night, the killer sneaks into Helen's house and cuts off her hair while she sleeps. The following morning, Julie finds Max's corpse wearing Barry's stolen jacket and covered in crabs in the trunk of her car. When she brings the others to see it, the body has been moved. Julie, Helen, and Barry confront Ray, who claims to have also received a letter. Julie goes back to visit Missy, while Barry and Helen participate in the 4th of July parade. Missy reveals that David allegedly committed suicide out of guilt of the death of his girlfriend, Susie Willis, in a car accident, and shows David's suicide note. As the writing matches that of the note she received, Julie realizes it was not a suicide note, but a death threat. At the Croker beauty pageant, Helen witnesses Barry being murdered on the balcony but finds no sign of the killer or Barry. The police officer escorting her home is murdered by the killer. Helen runs to her family store where the killer murders her sister Elsa. She escapes and runs towards the street, but the killer slashes her to death. Julie finds an article mentioning Susie's father, Ben Willis, and realizes Ben was the man they had run over a year earlier, moments after he had killed David to avenge his daughter. She goes to tell Ray, but notices Ray's boat is called Billy Blue. A fisherman knocks Ray unconscious, inviting Julie to hide on his boat. On the boat, she finds photos and articles about her and her friends and pictures of Susie. The boat leaves the docks, and the fisherman is revealed to be Ben Willis, targeting them in revenge for leaving him for dead. Ben chases Julie below deck, where she uncovers the bodies of Helen and Barry in the icebox. Ray awakens and goes to rescue Julie, but he ultimately uses the rigging to sever Ben's hand and send him overboard. He explains that he posed as David's friend and visited Missy out of guilt. The couple reconciles, relieved not to have actually killed anyone after all. 1 year later, Julie is in college in Boston. As she enters the shower, Julie notices the words, I still know, written in the steam on the shower door right before a dark figure crashes through it. And that's the movie.
1973's The Exorcist, 1991's Silence of the Lambs, Black Swan in 2010, and Get Out in 2017. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes the Academy Awards actually do what horror lovers of the world wish they would do, and respect this genre enough to recognize it on the grandest stage. I'm Andrew Corns, host of the Revisionist Almanac, an interactive monthly podcast here to fix the mistakes of the past, and also work to do a better job representing all film genres and not just the Oscars bait that exists. Every episode I dive into a past film year with a rotating group of guests to look at what won Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, and the Acting Awards. Revise those winners based on what we think should have won, and then let the actual winners battle our choices in head-to-head online polls where you, the listener, get to have your voice heard and decide the outcome. So come check out the show on all podcast streaming platforms and find the show on every social media platform using the handle RevAlmanac. I can't wait to see you there.
Did you find this movie scary?
You know what? It has some fun scenes. Yeah, it has some, frightening scenes.
I didn't find it that scary, but I did have one scream, and frankly, I have no idea where that was, but, I did scream, so that's praise.
I think it was probably a jump scare, and I'm trying to remember
Probably.
which one it was. No, I mean, there's some, actual... I think the torment is pretty good, her waking up with...
I think it's more psychologically scary than
Yes.
like anything else.
I couldn't think of her name, so I was going to call her Buffy and then Daphne, and then I still can't think of her name. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Helen. But I don't remember Jennifer Love Hewitt's character's name.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, when she wakes up with like her hair cut and the, like, I know, or soon written on it, like that was pretty scary.
Pretty horrifying. Yeah.
So like everything, I like the torment levels of it, and them kind of being guilt ridden and looking like run down. I think is really cool.
Was her waking up in bed with her hair cut off and like holding
Godfather
her head?
reference?
Was that just the modern horse head scene?
That's
from The Godfather?
kind of what I was thinking, but I don't think so because it's not shot. But yes, it's a little bit. You haven't even seen The Godfather.
For the young people.
Hannah hasn't seen The Godfather.
For the young people.
Yeah. Kind of.
Shout out.
I've thought that while we were watching it,
It's
but
The
I was like,
Godfather for youths.
All right, stop this. You haven't seen it. You're not even allowed to say that.
I'm funny.
I'm going to out you.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a good movie.
I'm kind of bad with old movies.
Oh my God. It's hardly even old. Except for Lynch. You watch all of Lynch's old movies.
Yeah, because he's a G.
So is Francis Ford Coppola.
I know that.
I feel bad
I know
saying
that.
but
I know that he has some great films, obviously.
Yeah,
However,
Jack. Great film.
However, I don't like that movie, and I have seen it.
I was just making a meme.
However,
I like that movie.
I don't. I do have a lot of blind spots from pre-90s.
How many people do you think just realized that Francis Ford Coppola directed Jack? Because I said that and had no idea that the Godfather director.
Yeah, that's a
movie.
wild thing
It's
to
awesome.
know.
It's great.
Imagine making
What a
The
pick.
Godfather and then making Jack and then making
Megalopolis. Whoa, and don't forget Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, I was ignoring that fact because it's also
I love that
embarrassing.
movie. So, okay, sorry, I'm being crazy today. Anyway, I find this movie psychologically scary and very psychologically compelling. And that's saying a lot for like how simple this whole thing is.
Yeah. I think what's hard about it is we have the comparison point of Scream. So I think it is kind of hard to like sit through this movie and not be like, wow, that's a letdown compared to Scream. But judging it like on its own, I think it is really fun. Like it's obviously like a teen slasher. Like they have this hot cast of like people that were appealing to like teens and 20s.
But they kind of make
90s.
a lot of them look like shit. That's like a big thing is they look real hot the summer before and then they all look terrible.
And I love that. Jennifer Love Hewitt is beautiful, and then they just
made
made her
her
bangs look greasy.
They made her bangs look terrible and her hair all flat. And I was like, what happened?
I was like, damn, girl, use some dry shampoo,
It's
babe.
also very funny that she's like the nerd character.
When she's like
Yeah.
stunning. Another reviewer that I like, their letterboxd review was Jennifer Love Hewitt Step on Me Challenge.
Facts though. This entire cast Step on Me challenge.
Yeah, honestly, Sarah Michelle
Shooting
Gellar
Johnny
and
Galecki.
Freddie Prinze Jr. at the same time Step on Me Challenge.
We saw you from across the bar and we really dig your vibe. That's what you want from Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
That's a crazy fantasy. You should write that fanfic. Yeah. Okay.
But they're dressed like Fred and Daphne.
Oh my God. Yeah, now it's really a fanfic.
Yeah.
I think Velma wrote that fanfic down,
I
actually.
think she did. That's what that
in
song
Scooby-
is.
yeah,
in
the cutscene song, yeah.
From the first one. Yeah.
No one knows what we're talking about.
There's a scene cut from
Don't
the
even- I was
first
saying
live-action Scooby-Doo movie of Velma
Singing-
serenading Daphne.
Singing I Love You Baby. Okay, so something else I want to talk about with this cast. You said his name, but I already forgot, but the blonde guy gives just an insane performance. I don't know if it's good or bad, but when he freaks out on them at the beginning and goes like psycho about not telling anybody what happened, I love that shit.
he's trash.
And that's another scene Scary Movie made fun of, is the dude just beats the shit out of the woman that played or Jennifer Love Hewitt's character. It's Anna Faris. And he's like, we're not going to tell anybody or whoever. He's just like slapping her around. And it's so, because they're making fun of how over the top this performance was. But honestly, I still kind of love it in this.
They also wanted someone that had a different build that looked more like a football player.
No, I kind of
And then
liked it
they
being
were
this
like-
preppy psycho.
Yeah, and then they were like, he was actually pretty good, so
Preppy
we'll
rich
go with him.
person. Overall, I know another thing I wanted to say. I apologize. This movie has like, for what it is, being kind of this schlocky, it's not a B movie exactly, but you know, whodunit slasher.
Yeah.
It's really good looking. It's like shot really well. Like
I think
overall,
it's filmed by the ocean, like, so it automatically looks kind of nice and has like this small ocean town vibe that I really like.
But it just like is more my running theory that like there's been some kind of brain drain or like loss of technical skill in the industry because like this movie looks better than 50% of the shit that I see come out today, even big box office shit that comes out. So like, what is going on? You know, like why were things? It's speed and laziness, right? And like studio constraints.
Well, I also think
it has
like
to be
modern cameras and stuff just like beautify things. If you're not trying to give your film an aesthetic or texture,
so you're saying it needs to be shot on film.
A lot of people aren't trying to do that. They just want this like very pretty looking movie, but pretty isn't pretty.
Though. It's got to be more than that. I literally think it's the boomers retiring and they're gatekeeping information. And I think just like speed.
I think for the most part, when boomers retire, they're the people who like can't send an email.
No, you're wrong about this. I mean, you're correct about that, but this is a thing in a lot of industries: is the boomers have gate kept information, and there's been no like processes and things taught. It's happening in construction. It's happening in engineering.
Ooh.
Like it's a huge real thing.
Interesting.
Like we can make fun of the boomers all we want, but there is going to be in the engineering field and the construction field. We're already seeing it. There is a huge issue with brain drain because the boomers didn't write anything down.
What does brain drain mean? Like knowledge gap?
Knowledge gap. Knowledge loss, we'll even call it. Because also the internet's completely broken right now.
Yeah.
And so you have the internet broken, so the information's not there. The boomers never had any processes or wrote anything down. They just passed that information, and they have not properly passed that to the next generation in a lot of ways. And so we have a huge...
are selfish.
Well, or they might have tried, but either way... I'm not going to blame them. Or they needed to keep their value.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you, like, it's scary, the engineering and construction field right now. So I'm sure it's happening in a lot of places. So anyone out there, whatever industry you're in, let us know if you have a boomer brain drain. We got to give the boomers credit for something.
No, we don't.
I'm just saying, it's a thing. We could also blame antisocial behavior as part of the problem too. But now we're getting real philosophical.
Anyway,
yeah, no. So I do think there has been a loss of knowledge in the field, and I've heard that as well about the film industry. That's like an issue. Is like you have a lot of young people coming in, and a lot of old people retiring, and not a lot of people in between. So there you go. From the technical side, maybe people aren't going out of the way to get involved in the technical side as well, and that's like such a huge part.
Yeah,
lighting, cameras, mic, sound, for Christ's sake, like
yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, my whole point is this movie looks good, and I just get very frustrated when watching older movies that have no right looking as good as they do, looking this good. So, or at least just looking this amount of effort.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was very surprised how much you liked this because I wasn't really sure, and I do think this is good.
It's not like I loved it. I'm not going to rate it that high, but I had a lot of fun with it.
But you had a lot of fun. Is there anything you can pinpoint of why you had so much fun? Is it the mystery element? Is it the performances?
Well, I think the mystery element's not that great of a mystery. Like you couldn't
figure it out.
No. So it's not a good mystery.
But like the reveal is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting enough. It's kind of...
There's an interesting twist.
I think it's just because it's like the right amount of campy.
Yeah.
And that just does something to my brain when it's the right kind of campy for...
It's the kind of campy where all the actors are taking it completely seriously.
Yeah.
And that makes it work really well.
And I love that. And that's,
sincerity,
again, like...
We always talk about...
Scooby-Doo movies, especially Monsters Unleashed, like, they are just so sincere. We cannot compare this.
Just because it is... I know, yeah, it's about sincerity, which we talk about a lot. That's something you and I both appreciate.
But it's also, like, I can very directly compare the two people being the two leads in that movie. Come on.
Yes.
So shut up.
Anything else?
I think it's interesting in that, like, I thought some of the murdering would start early. Like, I had this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, thank God the quarterback's gonna get murdered this early in the movie. He's so annoying. But no, he just gets like hit with his own car just to like tease him.
Yeah, I really appreciate that in this movie.
I think it's actually, I think it works really well because it's just trying to like psychologically torment them.
The only
like
thing,
all the letters and stuff too.
The only thing that feels weird is that Johnny Galecki gets killed.
That makes no fucking sense.
That part made no sense to me. It happens. That feels like, hey, we need to have somebody. We need to establish a threat.
Yeah, that also made no sense because I was like, why are we killing just this dude? But he might have been friends with the guy who got killed or something.
Who knows?
I don't know.
But outside of that, like everything else, like makes sense for this killer. And it is kind of funny that we, later learn that this guy had actually killed somebody previously.
That's
so really,
so
they just
funny.
hit the wrong guy. They hit a murderer on his way back from doing a murder.
And what I
then
think
threw him
is
in
so
water.
funny about that is that they are trying to justify what they did. Like, maybe he's a bad guy. And then so it's like learning that you're like, LOL.
Yeah, you still did a hit and run.
But like, that's funny.
There is, it's such a good setup because you are like, shit, like they were drinking in the car. Everyone's life
It's
is
like
going to be ruined.
everything that you're like, you can't do that.
Yeah, everything like there's like a lot of fear I would have. I think that's why it works. You can actually kind of relate. You can like put yourself in their shoes.
Well, because
and then
like,
they get their comeuppance because of it.
I can't imagine. I mean, like, let's be real. Half of us, like, we don't need drinks to be mildly distracted for a second while driving.
Yeah.
Imagine driving that fucker. Like, Freddie Prinze Jr. wasn't even drinking.
I know.
He was just the DD, and his friend was being a sloppy drunk.
Yep.
And he gets distracted, and then he hit a man. Like, yeah, it's not good. You did kill a man, and that sucks for your life to be ruined because your dumbass friend was distracting you by being a drunk fuck. And it's like, yeah, I could totally see that happening.
That's why it's a very relatable setup.
Relatable, yeah. It was very stressful. But then when they're immediately like, no, let's lie, I was like, no, you have lost me, actually. I would immediately be doing CPR.
Yes.
If I thought that would help.
I'll also say I love the year time jump. Like I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And then like you said, that you can see the guilt on them before and how it's like affected all of them differently.
Like
None
Helen
of them
never went away to school.
Yeah.
And
no, Helen was
Helen
not going to
didn't.
school. Helen was going to go be an actress.
Or didn't do that. Yeah,
she was going to go to New York.
She was.
Or I think she did, and it didn't work out.
She came back like pretty immediately, and then like Julie.
That's her name.
Julie was obviously miserable at school and like made no friends and was doing bad in classes, and then her and Freddie Prinze Jr. broke up because
he's just working as a fisherman like his dad that he didn't know, as they say.
Like,
and Rich Boy's just living at home.
Yeah, so,
but he's happy. He's the only one that's good.
Because he didn't feel guilt to begin with because it was his idea, and he basically
forced everyone
force everyone into it, and just one person was more inclined to go with it because she was also trashed. Mm-hmm. Not that you deserve a pass for that, Helen, but
we're getting into semantics of this. I don't mind it, but I wanted to ask: this is an iconic slasher villain to many people. What do you think of? I never even remember his name. Billy Blue / whatever they call him, Ben something. You like the Fisherman. You gotta love the hook.
I think the outfit is funny, of like the raincoat and the bucket hat and the hook. Like I think it's a funny combo. I think it like I understand the look being iconic, but like in any other way, no, it's not.
No, I like it how he blends in with the rest of the crowd because of it.
Yeah.
That like he could be anywhere. Like there were some really tense scenes because of that.
Yeah. Like
which I'll talk about in my favorite scene. Oh, the float. I was going to say the float's one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think that's just such a fun idea. So something that I think is kind of silly and I like with this character is he loses his hand at the end, which kind of goes back to the whole hook story of the hand is in the net. That's all they found.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he lost his hand. I was like, what are you talking about?
Well,
then I remember his hand in the net, and that's all they found, and that's so funny.
And you'll be happy to know he returns in the next movie with a hook hand because he lost his
hand.
Of
course.
Yep. And he gets a sidekick in the next movie.
So this is like the origins of hook hand. No, there's Captain Hook and stuff. Like, there's so many.
What are you talking? That was crazy. I'm leaving that in. Everyone shame you.
Sorry.
Captain Hook. This was also the pirate hook. People have been having hooks forever. Buster Bluth. I'm kidding. That's later. I know.
I can't lie. My brain was like, oh, Buster Bluth was inspired by this movie.
Hook hands were a real thing that people had as prosthetics. They're not
No.
real. They're not sharp, though. They're like, I'm going to have to show you.
I always thought that was made up for movies.
I think it was a pirate thing. But no, there's like a real prosthetic.
Well, that seems inconvenient and annoying.
No,
It would
no,
get
it's not.
stuck
It's not.
everywhere.
It's not sharp.
No, but it
just
would
looks
still
like a
get
hook.
stuck in like my sweater and shit.
That's so funny.
I always was like, that can't be real. That'd be so inconvenient.
The one that Buster has is like the real one. But no, the pirates have one too, I think.
Buster's is deeply inconvenient to him. Buster's is amazing. I literally was about to be like, oh, Buster was inspired by this movie's
All right, well, no, the
iconic
old
villain?
hook hand was a real thing, though. I had to look it
That's
up.
crazy.
Yeah, but then there was like the prosthetic, the regular prosthetic. But yeah, I'm seeing.
We can just shame
All right,
me for
shame.
forgetting about Captain Hook and every other Hook media
And,
before
or just
the
pirates
90s.
before media. They were real. It wasn't just in media.
Well, clearly I wasn't around for that, so my
Oh, true,
basis
true,
was
true.
media. But I forgot all the
that's so
media
funny.
before 1997.
Okay,
Sorry.
well.
I said I had blind spots before the 90s, Matt.
Oh, God, this is
God.
funny. Okay, do you have any favorite scenes in this movie?
I really like when he's chasing Helen and she like gets to the store and you're thinking like, oh my God, will her sister get to her on time to let her in? And then she does, and then her sister ends up murdered and he is under one of like the plastic displays.
That might have
They,
been
like,
when you screamed.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but that was my favorite scene. And he's like hiding under the plastic where it's like the other mannequins are covered by like a sheet of plastic. So like that could be a mannequin, but then you look closer and you're like, no, that's a bucket hat man. And she's scared, and then I was scared, and it just looked funny. And I thought that scene was well done and silly. My note just says I'm obsessed with this.
So for me, I'm thinking about this movie, and I realize maybe the reason this movie's good is because there's just so many iconic moments and scenes.
Yeah.
So I'll just rattle off a couple.
That's fine.
The entire opening is great.
It is, yeah.
Everything leading up to the time skip, we're going to call that one big scene, amazing.
Yeah.
The one you named is great. The float is so cool where they're trying to like look for him and the guy's chasing him. And there's all these different fishermen he runs into. Love that. The scene where she is doing the pageant and he gets killed on the balcony. And and she's screaming and everyone's like, what?
Everyone's like, you crazy bitch. And then they go up there and they're like, there's nothing here, you dumbass. And
So
I loved that.
the Wayland brothers also liked that because that's another scary movie scene where her talent is acting, and then she's like, "They're killing him," and everyone thinks
like,
it's her.
"Woo,
Everyone thinks
great
it's her
acting,
performance.
yay."
Yeah. And then she gets distracted and wins, and she's all excited and takes the award.
my
And
God.
everything. Yeah.
Sure.
And then finally, the last scene of the movie is such a good classic. The bad guy's still alive.
Oh,
where
yeah.
she's walking around.
That's
Is that what
where
made you scream?
I screamed. The very, very end.
It's so good.
And I remember being like, fuck this. I knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
I'm a bitch.
I still know.
But I still scream.
It's such a good classic. The bad guy's still alive, especially because, like, yeah, he killed somebody, but they also still did a bad thing. And they're like, our guilt is over. It's like, you might have gotten lucky here because you did end up running an actual murderer. But for him to go, I still know, and just break through that glass, jumping at us in the screen.
Yeah.
I love it. And Scream made fun of that too. But, I can't help but love that. So I think this has a lot of iconic scenes, which makes it like stand the test of time a little bit. Although it's not, as big as these other ones, it's still got its place.
It's also so funny, like, after the time jump, like, clearly they're back on their bullshit. Like, they're in school.
Two of them are dead.
Yeah. But the other two are in
Other two got a happy
and
ending.
they're, like, doing well. And they're like, I'm going to come see you. And, like, talking about spicy sexual things. And, like, they're all happy on the phone. And her hair is beautiful again.
She washed her hair.
It was amazing. What a great blow dry she had.
Yeah.
So I thought that turnaround was so funny. Because I was like, yeah, you did murder some guy. You murdered him twice.
Let's do quick thematic analysis, because obviously this doesn't have much other than it's about guilt and the collective guilt between these four and how it all affected them differently and changed the course of their lives. And they were concerned about accidentally doing a hit and run was going to change their lives and ruin their lives, and they ended up just kind of ruining their lives via the guilt anyway, and then being murdered.
I actually don't know.
That will ruin your life, getting murdered if you don't know.
Yeah. I would say only one of the four deserved a murder. The other deserved maybe a loss of limb.
Hey, they were complicit. They didn't stand up to him.
I know.
He was a little puny shrimp. The three of them could have beat his ass.
Should have drowned him. No.
Whoa, I don't know if you can say that.
I'm kidding.
In Minecraft.
Well, I actually think this movie could, like, do a better job with its grief exploration. Obviously, like, it's not trying to do that very well. But I think they all have the same outcome of their grief. Like, it's not actually showing different forms of grief. Like, all three of them did the same thing.
Grief or guilt?
I meant guilt.
Oh, okay.
I kept saying the wrong G word. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Because I started thinking about that our murderer, our slasher villain, this is his coping with grief because his daughter was killed in an accident, so he goes and kills the
Murder
guy.
is not
and
a great
fakes it, makes it look
coping
like a suicide.
mechanism.
Yeah, that's what I learned. But what else I learned? It's okay to hit and run murderers. That's what I learned.
But you just have to make sure they were a murderer ahead of time.
Also, if you're going to hit and run and dump a body, make sure the body's dead.
Yeah.
Because that dude was somehow alive.
And then somehow was, like, dumped in the water and
it survived.
Still didn't, like...
He's a slasher villain, man. That's how it goes.
But yeah, what I was saying is, like, the result of their guilt is pretty much the same across the board.
Yeah. But all of it is just like life ruining is like kind of what the none of them ended up living the lives they wanted.
Yeah, but I still think like if this movie wanted to do something deeper, there is more they could have done. But this movie wasn't interested in that, and that's fine.
And I don't know if I'd be interested in this movie if it was interested in that.
Because it would be a different movie.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a fun, campy slasher. It would be a guilt exploration, and
nobody wants that.
Ain't nobody need that.
Not with Freddie Prinze Jr. in it. Right?
No, we don't need Freddie Prinze Jr. doing that.
I want Freddie Prinze as a himbo, and that's it. And he kind of is in this. No, he definitely is in this. Strong little fisherman boy.
Not the biggest himbo. The other guy's a bigger himbo.
No, you don't know what a himbo is.
Yeah,
you don't know
right.
the definition of a himbo.
You're
You're just wrong. You don't know.
Because the other guy's
ball.
mean, and that's not himbo.
Correct.
Himbo's like a sweet moron.
Kind of like and he's just like this little fisherman boy, you know.
He just seems like more literate than most people I would consider
you know
a
what?
himbo.
You know.
That's why I said that.
I'm trying to think of like iconic himbos. Well, Fred is an iconic
Fred
himbo.
is an iconic himbo.
Big time.
That's why I said this guy might be too literate.
Fred's smart. He builds them traps, you know.
Fred's an idiot.
No.
In my heart.
No. Well, sometimes. In a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah.
Okay. We've gone for 40 minutes and mostly talked about other movies, which is there's not much to say about this other than I like it and like it's worth the watch. So I definitely like recommend people go back and give this one another shot. If you've never seen it, it's like I feel like it's one that you put on just to say you've had it.
It's kind of like folding laundry and shit.
Oh, sure. But I'm saying it is kind of considered like a part of what am I looking for? Icon. It is like a horror. What word am I looking for? To be important in the horror sphere. It's like an iconic movie. Is that what I'm looking for? It is.
I don't know.
Would you agree? Is this like one that the big horror fan should be watching? Because I think so.
Yeah, I think it is a
classic.
blind spot.
It's like a weird classic.
Yeah.
Cult classic, maybe? I don't know.
It's cult classic for sure, I would say.
Yeah, well, again,
It's like,
I've
it's
seen
not
it.
great,
This
but
might have been the 5th time I've seen this movie,
That's
which is
crazy.
so why? I have no idea.
That's crazy.
I feel like it might be.
Damn.
All right, well, let's rate it then.
I want to
Do you
do
know
a quick
yours?
this or that.
Oh, this or that first? Okay.
Okay,
Hit
we're
me
going to
with it.
do quote-unquote modern slashers, basically.
What if I argue that what you had was not a slasher? Is that allowed?
Some
All right,
of
fine,
them
go
are
ahead.
kind of slasher adjacent.
I started looking at your notes.
Okay.
I'm gonna be. I
Some
should
of them
not be
are very
semantical about
adjacent.
genre, but I feel like with slasher, it's fun to be a little.
I don't
little
agree.
Annoying. Okay, I don't want to look at your notes. So hit me
Okay,
with this,
I know
this or
what you
that.
did last summer or Terrifier.
I know what you did last summer.
I know what you did last summer or Scream 6.
Oh my god. I know what you did last summer. I don't like Scream 6.
I know
I
that,
really
yeah.
like Scream 5. And I don't like Terrifier. Also not a slasher in my mind, but go
I
ahead.
know what you did last summer or Scream 5.
Scream 5, although it's still one of the weaker Scream movies, but I think I go Scream 5. I like the requel making fun of all that. But go ahead.
I know what you did last summer or Freaky.
This is kind of a slasher. Freaky. Freaky's good. I've only seen it once. I like Freaky.
I have blacked out most of the movie,
I like it.
but
I thought you were going to say, I Know You Did Last Summer, Scream 4, and I was going to pick Scream 4.
yeah, that's why I didn't ask that.
Oh, shit. All right. I thought that would have been close. Scream 4 is my second or third favorite Scream movie.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so that would have been a good one.
I'm going to rank the Scream movies when
why
you're
I
done
didn't
here.
do
But
it.
go ahead.
I Know What You Did Last Summer, Happy Death Day.
This is maybe one of the most equivalent, but I think Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Happy Death Day is really entertaining. Continue.
I Know What You Did Last Summer or X.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay.
X wasn't for me. I liked that Kid Cudi was in it.
I Know What You Did Last Summer or Candyman 2021.
Whoa. Candyman 2021. This is the best one we've done. I'm conflicted. Candyman 2021. I know why you asked me that, because Candyman would have been way over I Know What You Did Last Summer. Candyman rules.
I'm not an idiot.
The first Candyman's so good. Let's
Yeah,
cut. That
I'm
would
not a
be
moron.
that would be such another good one to cover. There's so much to say. Very thematically rich.
Oh, yeah.
Really fun to debate. We should find somebody that's never seen it, though. I would love maybe Matt for that one.
The director of Candyman 2021 is the director of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Oh, Danny Boyle's not directing the next one?
No, but then he's directing the third one.
What is going on over
He
there?
needed
That's cool.
a break because they recorded the first two back to back.
Kind of awesome.
And he was like,
is this
bro,
gonna be the new,
I
like,
can't fucking do that.
new Pirates of the Caribbean or like Lord of the Rings trilogy where they
know.
film them back to back to back? Like,
Well,
I kind of love it.
They only filmed two back to back and then they're pausing.
Same.
And then
That's kind of what they
do
do
the
with
third.
Pirates. So, sweet. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Scream ranking really quick. You ready for this? Scream 1.
Duh.
Scream 2. Scream 4. Scream 5. Scream 3 and 6 tied for last. You haven't seen 3, so.
Yeah, so I think
2 and 4 might be tied also. 4 might be over 2 some days. But.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
I can't remember what happened in 2 very well, but I distinctly remember 4, 5, and 6.
Whoa. You like 4?
Which one was 2? That was the mom.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
And it has Foreman at the beginning.
Yeah.
House,
I always remember the foreman scene.
2
because
is
I'm like,
just
House.
2 is another good meta commentary
Yeah.
just on sequels.
Yeah.
But 4 is like it attacked a whole new angle.
Having not seen 3, I am gonna go with the same exact rating as you, with 2 and 4 being interchangeable.
I think 2 and 4 are tied for me. So yeah, we're on the same. All right, that's just the correct answer then. Anyone else?
I don't think it's the correct answer, but
We
maybe.
should do that for a TikTok. Just saying, rank the Scream movies, but
Except
cool.
we have the same ranking.
No, well, either way, we'll get a couple people. Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's rate this movie and then be done with it.
Okay, on the 1 to 10 scale.
It's a
5?
5.5.
That's where I was gonna go.
Wait here. All right, this is perfect. It's a 5.
Yeah.
But
On the -5 to +5.
it's like a +2, +3 somewhere in there.
I was gonna go +1.
Okay. For me, I just think it's an iconic one. You know, it's a big deal for a reason. It has earned its place in horror history, which is not a huge place, but it has a place.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you know, it's in the Louvre. It's not the Mona Lisa, but you know, it's in one of the back rooms of the Louvre.
Yeah, it's not on like the list of must-sees, but it's there in the Louvre.
You know what? I'd take that.
Yeah.
If I could have a piece of art or a horror movie in the Louvre, but you know, just it's like the Lorde song, the Louvre. It's in the back, but who cares? Still the Louvre.
Yeah.
She
Oh my
literally says
gosh,
that.
Lorde gets it.
She gets it.
She wrote that song about this movie.
That's so. I'm gonna remember that. I could say that about so many movies that I like. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll hang us in the Louvre. It's in the back, but who cares? It's still the Louvre. That's great. All right, love
Thanks,
that.
Lorde.
Yeah, love you. Oh, her new album drops in 4 hours.
But not for the listener because it already dropped for them.
Already dropped, but for us right now, 4 hours Virgin. Those first 3 songs, all bops. The music videos are incredible. Big Lorde fans over here. All right, I'm done.
I'm Hanna.
This has been I'm Matt Hanna, and this has been Horror Hour with the Hannas.
Don't get any hit and runs while we're between episodes.
Or if you do, make sure it was a murderer.
Yep. Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannas on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!